Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
I'm Kara.
So, Kara, what has been going on in your world recently? Anything exciting or cool or new, or any stories you've heard about recently?
Well, I had an interesting. Let me set up the story. Me and Savannah randomly got a message from our friend Leah, and she was like, "The Hat Man is in the room with me," and it was super unprompted, and we were like, "What are you talking about?" So we didn't hear from her until the next day, but she messaged us again. She's like, "I saw him in the room with her." For more context, because it's a little complicated, she's been like having issues with coughing, so she had taken a bit more than you're supposed to for like cough syrup without like realizing it, because I feel like it's hard to, especially with like cough, like any sort of liquid medicine, I feel like can be kind of, you're like, oh, I just take a spoonful or whatever, and
Yeah.
it can get
Yeah.
But I guess she technically took a lot more than she was supposed to. So the way she described it to me, because we got on a call, because I was like, I need to know more about this Hat Man experience. She said that, like, she wasn't scared when she saw him. Like, she was startled when she, like, saw him in the doorway. But, like, it was more of oh, there's a person there. Not like, oh, I'm scared of this entity, which was kind of interesting that she described it. So then I end up down a different rabbit hole, because I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. I wonder if that's, like, normal. Because I don't know if you've heard, like, people will see the Hat Man when they're on Benadryl. It's like a whole meme. It's a meme.
Never heard that. Nope. Huh.
Anyways, so I went down this rabbit hole, and apparently it was a TikTok trend to take as many Benadryl pills as you could, and it was very likely that it's like messed up.
All right, children that are listening,
do not do this. Because I just take when I take Benadryl normally, I feel horrible. It
knocks me out. Yeah,
I cannot imagine. Like, I don't like the feeling of being on Benadryl, but I can't believe people would like do like so many amounts, and like it's normal to see like shadow creatures and like entities in your room.
Huh.
But, like, she wasn't even on, like, an insane dose. And she was on cough medicine, not even on Benadryl. So it was very weird. But then I was like, I wonder if this is a normal thing for cough syrup people. And it is. It's not as popular. It's more dangerous to do high doses of
cough syrup
than Benadryl. Which both are bad. Do not do either of them.
So do not,
Disclaimer, do not do this. We are not encouraging it.
Exactly.
I'm not even going to tell you guys about where I found out this weird... Although you can, like, find YouTube videos about, like, people's insane experiences, like... But, I mean, it's still crazy that this is the second time she see him. Or, like, why do people see the Hat Man when they're on, like, these illicit drugs?
It makes you wonder, weird? Right? Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes people see him, too, on, sleep paralysis. He's a very common to see sleep paralysis. There's something linked between the sleep paralysis and taking illicit that specific drug that puts you in a state that's similar to sleep paralysis.
Yeah. Huh. Could be.
Or like, but it's so weird that people describe the exact same figure, like when.
Yeah, that is crazy. That's the same thing.
And it's not like it's because I mean we've talked about the Hat Man before.
Yep.
He's like one of my favorite, other than like the Mothman. I love. It's just such a weird entity, I feel like. Yeah, it's like a worldwide experience. It's not just like just in the US. I mean, I think the meme became like a
popularized by the US.
But like there's other people who have had very similar experiences, and there's people who've seen him sober. So it's like, what?
Right. Makes you wonder what's going on.
It was definitely interesting to hear.
I bet. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, you know, she was taking cough medicine or whatever.
So you said she wasn't scared at all? She was just, like, very blasé? No. Like, oh, by the way, I saw the Hat Man, and we had a conversation.
Well, when she messaged me, it was, like, all in I'm trying to see if I can find the exact message she sent. And we were like, huh? And she was literally like, hey, I saw the Hat Man. She said, I saw the Hat Man and woke up. I didn't know I was asleep to wake up.
Huh.
Yeah, anyways.
But she survived.
If you don't want to see the Hat Man, do not take cough medicine.
Yes,
and if you do want to see him, do not take cough medicine. It's not worth it.
Yeah, don't take too much cough medicine, please. Only take the amount written on the bottle. Read the bottle, too, before you take it. Same goes for Benadryl. Benadryl knocks me out.
Well, the Benadryl thing is when you take high doses, like an insane amount of Benadryl pills, the psychosis stays for you for days. So you could just be like having horrible hallucinations for days.
Yeah.
Do not do it. It sounds horrible. I refuse to even take Benadryl nowadays. It just makes me feel gross.
Sometimes though, I have to take it just to get my, if I'm sneezing a lot and all that, I have to. Otherwise, I feel miserable.
Well, I've tried Claritin. I feel like that one's better. I don't feel as horrible.
No, I usually, especially if I'm going to bed at night, because it, it helps you go to sleep too. But that's another story.
It makes it worse for me. I don't know if it's just
some kids though can't have Benadryl because it makes them too excitable. Like it makes them very antsy and edgy and
anxious.
Yeah, and anxious.
Yeah, I did read that if you take too much, sometimes the higher dosages you get wired.
Yeah,
you're super awake
and bouncing off the walls. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, don't do drugs.
Yeah, don't do drugs, please.
Only take the recommended dose.
Yep.
Because, it can, really fuck with your brain. So, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely
There are other drugs you can do that are better. Or, won't have repercussions.
Yep. So,
lasting repercussions.
If you've ever had an experience with the Hat Man.
Yeah, if you've seen the Hat Man. Yeah, please let us know. I love Hat Man stuff.
We'd love to hear your story.
Shadow creature.
And if you don't want to have your name
even if it was
mentioned, we won't.
Even if you were, on drugs or whatever, or I'm so curious, because it's just so weird that specific drugs do things like that.
Yep.
I wonder if it just puts you in a state where you can see them, or are they even real? We don't know.
We don't know. That's what I'm wondering. Or does it break through to another dimension when you're in that state of mind?
Are you seeing some a different does it put you in a space that you're able to see stuff? It's
right.
Kind of the DMT elves we talked about.
Exactly. So are you
it reminds me of that.
Right. Are you in this altered state enough that you can see things that are constantly around us that we never see because, we're not on that level? I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Anyways, what have you been up to, Mother?
Nothing as exciting as you, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing really, actually. What have I been doing? I don't know, just crocheting a lot of stuff for my upcoming craft fair in a couple weeks, that's all. Yeah. Making little turtles and that.
That's fun.
Yeah. Nothing too exciting. It's been raining a lot here, so I totally don't feel like doing anything or going anywhere. So I know it's been awful. I forget what the sun looked like, honestly. And then between that and the cold snap we have every other day, where it gets
warm and then it gets cold the next day, and I'm like, why?
I know. I wish it would just make up its mind because it's making people sick.
I know.
I'm like, stop. One or the other, please. But I know we're still in winter, so we've got more snow to come, so that's fine. I wish it would just either snow all the time or, you know what I mean, or just be
I hate the flip-flop.
Warm. Yeah.
Messes with people's allergies.
Exactly.
So then you have to take Benadryl, and you're going to see the Hat Man.
Yep.
So it's not good for
anyone. No, it's not. Yep. Okay, so this week I'm going to go first, and I'm talking about a story from a haunted house, actually, from Wisconsin, the great state of Wisconsin. And it's this house called the house's name is Summerwind. And this haunted house actually begins with a gentleman by the name of Robert Patterson Lamont, who traveled to Vilas County, Wisconsin, in search of his next home for him and his family. So he found this mansion, which had been built in the early 20th century as a fishing lodge. Now, this mansion, fishing lodge, whatever you want to call it, is really neat because it sits right on the West Bay Lake in Wisconsin, and it's beautiful. There's lots of woods around it. It's kind of isolated, actually, where this is. And he instantly falls in love with his home, and he decides that this is the house that he wants for him and his family. So he bought it in 1916. So the following year, he decided to hire 2 architects from Chicago to help remodel his home. So Mr. Lamont, it took 2 years, by the way, for the renovations to be complete on this home, because he had to take it from a lodge that it was, for hunters and fishermen and such, to make it into a home for him and his family. Over the 2 years, he falls deeply in love with this home and property, and he feels like this is going to be like a legacy for him and his family. And he hopes that they're going to spend many wonderful, happy years here. Well, as time goes on, and over the course of 15 years, the maids start to complain to him and his wife that there's weird smells going on in the house, like not normal smells that, are usually associated with the home. And there's also really bizarre noises that are happening. And they kind of, this goes on for 15 years. They keep complaining about it. And him and his wife keep, telling them, oh, it's nothing. It's just your imagination. Don't worry about it. The house isn't haunted. It's fine. So people believe that the construction work on the house upset the spirits that have lived in the home over the years. So one night, Mr. and Mrs. LeConte were sitting down for dinner when all of a sudden they were in their kitchen and the basement door flings open and a ghost or like a shadow comes up from the basement and is like walking towards them. Well, as you can imagine, Mrs. Lamont freaks out and she starts screaming and she runs behind her husband. Well, her husband, they live on this private property. There's a lot of wild animals around there. So he has a gun on him. So he pulls out his gun and shoots what he thought was an intruder, not realizing it was a ghost. Well, when he shoots the ghost, it disappears immediately on him, and it totally freaks him and his wife out. So those two totally are upset by this whole experience. And legends claim that he was so scared by this incident that he decides that him and his family are leaving the mansion that night and they're never ever coming back to the mansion. So him and his wife, leave the mansion behind, and he hangs on. He never sells the property though, which is kind of, weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
He hangs on to it for like, let's see, that was 16. He hangs on to it until like 1948. So in 1948, he passes away, and his wife doesn't want to have anything to do with this property, after the whole ghost scare and all that. And, she's unsettled by it. So she decides to sell the home. So they put the home up for sale, and another family called the Fremont family, the Freer family. Anyway, they buy the home off of them. And within a couple of months of purchasing the home, the man of the family, he dies immediately from a heart attack. And he instantly put all put the home for his wife, like he, grants it to his wife or whatever. So his wife gets this home. Well, she doesn't want the home because the home creeped her out. She felt like it was haunted and she didn't like it when they were there. And there was like a lot of strange things happen while they were there. So after he passes away, she puts the house up on the market for sale. Well, a lot of people try to buy the house from her, but every time anybody gets close to buying the home, they go bankrupt or they can't. For whatever reason, they can't buy the home. And this happens like a lot. So the house sits in disrepair for another, I want to say, let's see, that was in the 40s, for another maybe 30 years until we get to the new family. So the house sits quiet and vacant until the Himshaw family moves in. 1969, Lamont Mansion was purchased by a couple named Arnold and Ginger Himshaw and their daughters, and they quickly moved in. Now, Ginger's father, Raymond Bobber, who also moved to the property with them, but he decided to stay on a trailer on the outskirts of the property. They all moved together, and they started living there. Well, the Himshaws, they found an old blueprint of the home and they wanted to restore it to its, former shining glory, because over the years it had become dilapidated. It sat empty for all those years that after the Lamonts had left it and before the Freers, it was the Freers that bought it, before she actually finally sold it. So they get to the house and they start trying to have people come in and do stuff with them. And so they hire some workers to, start fixing up the property. But things start to happen. The workers start complaining that there's like whispering voices going on. They have rooms change sizes. They say like the measurements in the rooms will get larger and smaller, and like weird things like that start happening. They say that windows will open automatically on their own and close on their own. Lights will flick on and off for no reason. And they also said that some of their tools that they were using would disappear and nobody could find them, or they don't know where they went. They would be there 1 second and they were gone the next. So they have all these things going on. And also, while the family was living there, they start seeing strange strange things around the house. They see like shadow people. They see apparitions and stuff. There was a time when they saw a ghost moving past the dining room French doors. They were like clear glass French doors, because it was a fancy, house. It used to be a mansion. And they would see like these images of people that would like move past their doors while they were eating dinner and stuff. And one of their younger daughters would get visits from someone who is not of the earth, and nobody else could see them. So they think she was talking to a spirit in the house. Now, some people claim, and even when the Lamonts were there, some of the maids claim that they saw a lady in white that would roam around the house. Now that the Henshaws have the house, there's also been some talk of, somebody seeing like a lady in white wandering around. So after all these tools go missing from all the workers, word gets around town and nobody will come out to the home to help them fix it up. So the Henshaws decide, well, you know what, if nobody's going to help us, we'll do this ourselves. We'll figure out how to do it. So they started to do a lot of the renovations on their own. And that's when things started to go crazy wackadoodle in the house. So
it's always during renovations.
Exactly.
Ghosts don't like that or whatever.
No. Yeah, they don't. And they didn't in this particular thing. So the Henshaws started to renovate on their own. And one night, while they were painting a closet, Arnold removed a drawer from the bottom of the closet. And he saw that there was like a hidden crawl space in there. And he was curious to know what was on the other side of the door. Because I guess their thoughts were, if there was extra space, they were going to cut it out and have a bigger closet, I guess. So when he goes and he looks down there, he decides, well, he's too big. There's no way he could fit through it. So he asks his youngest daughter named Mary for her to go through the crawl space to see what's on the other side of the closet. So Mary goes in and she totally freaks out. And when she comes out, she tells her parents what she found. Apparently, inside of there, she found the remains of a human skull with black hair. Now, the weird thing is the family never reported this to the police because I guess, whenever you find a dead body, you have to report it to the police. So years later, though, when the authorities decided to investigate the crawl space, the skull was not there. It was not there anymore. It had disappeared. Now, the family claims that when they found that skull, they did not go back in that area again and they left it alone because, they were under the impression, don't touch things that are there. And I don't know why why would you ignore that and not tell somebody, oh, by the way, we found a skull? But they would tell all their friends, oh yeah, we were, remodeling the home and we found this skull in the back part of the house.
Well, if they report to the police, then I feel like an investigation.
It would, and they probably would shut down the renovations they were doing.
Why they
didn't. And they would be kicked out of the house. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
until they
have to like excavate or whatever. Right. Because that happened in Columbus, sort of. There was like a parking lot that got dug up, and then there was a bunch of bodies there.
I heard about that. That was like it used to be an old cemetery, I think, what I read. And they had to wait until, for whatever they were trying to do with it, they had to wait, though, until they could inspect them all to figure out why they were there and how they got there and all.
Yeah. And it's like a whole legal thing. It's annoying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I get that. And I imagine they were strapped for cash because, they've been trying to hire all these people to help them transform this home, and nobody wants to do it. So
I'm sure that's why they probably just were like, yeah, we found this, but we're not going to report it because...
Right. No, I get it.
For us, financially. I don't blame them, but it's still,
It is still kind of weird, to just leave it in your house like that. I mean,
that's
strange.
I
would be moving.
I don't know what I would do with it, but I don't know about leaving it in my house.
Right? Exactly. Or I would move and try and sell it and just not tell anybody that, oh, by the way, there's a dead skull in the, behind the closet in that one room.
Yeah.
So, so they're living in this house. They only lived in this house for 6 months, okay? So while they were living in this house, all of them began to start acting very strangely, okay? And especially for the dad, Arnold. He was the one that had the most changes come about him during the time that he was living there. The children would say that he would get very angry for no reason. His whole personality and demeanor started changing. He was doing weird and strange things. He would talk to objects and people that were not around. The wife started becoming very concerned for her husband. Obviously, he's got a little loopy. But anyway, the girls said that their father would sit up at night, all night long, almost, playing a creepy organ that was in the house. And he would play the most creepiest music you ever heard. Right. And he would do this all night long.
I want an organ to play music on all night long.
No, not creepy music. That's
organs already sound creepy, though, to be fair.
Right. That's like a whole nother vibe level going on in that home. I mean, can you imagine? Just have, because the house wasn't exactly, when they bought it, it was starting to... It needed work. Let's put it that way. Okay. I mean, it wasn't awful, but it did need work. And here's the dad just sitting down there playing creepy music on it. It got to the point, though, where he was starting to have like insomnia, and he was starting to hallucinate because he wasn't getting enough sleep type thing in that. He told everybody that the reason why he played the organ was that it was the only way for him. It was the only way, he said, to keep the demon of the house at bay, was to sit and play the organ. That's creepy.
That is creepy.
See, now that would have me on edge if somebody's telling me, oh, by the way, I'm playing this to make sure that nothing happens to anybody in the house by the demon that lives there. So, as you can imagine, things just started going downhill. At this time, also, his wife, Ginger, she started having some mental problems, too. She started going through it because she was so concerned about her husband and worried all the time. It got to be so bad for her that she refused to sleep in the house at night. She would actually go outside and sleep outside because she was did not like the feelings in the house and was worried about her husband and all that. Maybe she was worried her husband was going to kill her. I don't know. So anyway, the other crazy thing that the daughters later reported years later was that the dad would go out and try and start his car, and the car would just burst into flames every time he tried to start it to go to work. It was like whatever was in the house didn't want him to leave. They wanted him to stay there with them. Like they were feeding off of him. Yeah. So at this point, as you can imagine, Arnold starts to slide into a state of mental illness and possession. And Ginger, like I told you, was sleeping outside the house at this time because she was trying to find comfort because she was actually tried to commit suicide from the stress of living in the home and dealing with her husband's, mental decline. So after 6 months of all this going on and, things just ramping up and getting crazier and crazier in the home, the couple decides that they need to leave the home for their own mental well-being. So they pack up the girls and all their stuff and they leave and they put the house up on the market. Now, from what I've read from different sources and stories, they sell the house back to the family that they originally bought it from, okay? So I don't know why this lady bought this house back if she didn't like the house. So anyway, she buys the house back. The property that was this is where it gets weird and wacky. The property was then bought from the lady that originally sold Arnold and Ginger the home, was bought by Ginger's dad, Ray, who I talked about earlier. Now, her dad, Ray, wants to turn the mansion into a bed and breakfast. So he too then soon starts having all these strange experiences happen with him. Now Ray also brings in Ginger's brother to help him out while he's, dealing with turning this bed and breakfast this mansion into a bed and breakfast. And they start having their strange experiences. Ray believes that he is communicating with the spirit or the ghost of Jonathan Carver, who was an early North American explorer. And he believes that was the ghost that was one of the main ghosts that was haunting the mansion at that time. So he would hold conversations with Carver, and Carver would tell him all this stuff. And he even said that Carver told him there was some kind of artifact in the home that he wanted him to find for him. It's kind of strange, like I said. So Ray, while he's staying there trying to turn, this mansion into a bed and breakfast, ends up writing a book in the 70s about him and his family's experience with the home and the property called The Carver Effect, a paranormal experience. So Ray was the one that actually referred to the mansion as the Summerwind. And if you go on to any search engine and type in Summerwind, you'll see that it's it's claimed to be one of the most haunted houses in Wisconsin. And there's a lot of stuff on it. As he finds, he's dumping all this money into it. He's not getting anywhere. And all these strange things are happening to him. He hires people to come in and do some remodeling on the place. They experience the same things of the rooms changing in dimension and size. They say hallways will start expanding and extra doors pop up. I mean, all kinds of weird, crazy stuff. He also talks about how some of the windows in the home keep opening and shutting on their own to the point where he starts nailing all the windows shut. That's always the first sign of somebody losing it. So eventually he decides that, it's not worth it for him and he's going to take his loss. And he ends up selling the property to a group of investors. So at this time now, the mansion sat vacant and empty, and it continued to deteriorate from the harsh weather because where it sits, it's up near, the Great Lakes and all that up towards the north. So they get really bad winters up there. This property during the time was mostly used as a summer home for most people. Not many people would stay there through the winter because of how brutal the winter could be. So on June 16th, 1988, after this place sat in, disrepair for all these years, a storm passed through the Land O'Lakes, which is the area that the mansion sits in, and lightning strikes it and sets the home on fire. Now, there's controversy about this, too, for some crazy reason. There was a lot said that they believe that the town council wanted the house to get burnt down to the ground because so many people were coming to it by this time because of the book that Ray had written about the haunted experience and that. And Life magazine had done a big article about Summerwind and how it was haunted. And all these people were coming there to check it out for themselves. A lot of kids would go out there and party. It was like a big party place for kids. And they were just destroying it, and the cops were getting tired of going there all the time, and the city and the town was just fed up. So they think that the town council actually conspired with the fire department to have the place burned down, because somebody said they saw, one of the neighbors that lives near there said that they saw one of the town council members going there with some of the fire people and putting hay in some of the rooms in the house. And they think that that's how the fire started, and not because of a lightning strike, because they said that there were metal lightning rods on the house in numerous spots, and they don't understand how lightning could have set it on fire since there were lightning rods to help absorb the electricity from the lightning.
Yeah, that's definitely suspicious.
So, yeah. It's kind of suspicious, like I said. Nobody could prove anything, and people have been trying to figure it out for years. So Summerwind, by the way, so it burned down to the ground, but there's still some of the fireplaces are still there. There's steps. They were made from stone that they got, from a quarry nearby or whatever. That all is still there. So there's some stuff that's still there. Originally, the property contained the original house because it was like a lodge. Remember when it first started out? And there were several cabins that were also on the property. But the weird thing was, people don't understand that when the house got on fire, the house and the cabins all burned, but none of the other surrounding, woods and all that got charred by the fire. It was only the house. It was really weird. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. So Summerwind is on private property, and it is monitored by cameras. You can go there twice a year by a group called the Fox Valley Paranormal Group, and they lead visits to Summerwind for you to go on a tour to see what's still there. Now, when I was doing research on this, back in the 80s, there was a couple of teenage girls that were on a canoe on the lake one day, and they said they saw a lady in white on the hill that waved to them and basically, invited them on, because there was a dock in the back of the property. It butted up right to the lake, and they had their own dock for boats and stuff. So they took their canoe up to the dock because the lady was on the dock waving to them. They followed her up there's a path up to the house. And when they got into the house, they said the lady disappeared. So they were creeped out by that. So the very next day, because the storm was coming and they left. So the very next day they went back because they were curious, to see if that lady in white was still there. When they went back the next day, the lady was there, but when she waved to them, she didn't wave them, to come in. She waved them like on. And as it turned out, there was some, I guess, like, not renters, but somebody who was there was very angry about some of the stuff that was going on, and they were, like, fighting with people and stuff. So they feel like she saved them, from getting out of their canoe and getting hurt by this crazy person that was on the property. But, so that's all I have about the Summerwind. You're, if you're ever in Wisconsin and want to go check it out, go for it. Apparently, like I said, it's on private property. They do have cameras.
Do not trespass.
Yeah, please don't trespass. That's not what I'm telling you to do. But apparently there's a paranormal group that has these investigations that they'll let you can go on to go check it out if you want to. Because I guess they have permission. The rumor is they're trying to return the home to its old glory. So they have like a society for it all set up, and they're close to getting enough money to actually rebuild the mansion the way it was when the Lamonts owned it and all that, which would be interesting if that does come to fruition. But it makes you wonder, are the ghosts still going to be there?
Yeah.
Bothering the property. So that's all I have for us today. So what do you have for us today?
So we're going to be talking about these very mysterious calls that Gary Sudbrink received back in 1993, which is also interesting. Okay. We actually have the calls, so we get to listen to those, so it'll be extra fun because it's I feel like talking about it is different than actually hearing these calls because they're so creepy and just weird. Okay, so our story this takes place on February 8th, 1993. He received 4 bizarre calls. 3 of them happened on that night, and then the 4th call happened on the following night. He was I mean, this is back in the day, but they did record the calls. They had one of those recording machine, or I'm talking about the answering machines that had a recorder on it.
An answering machine? Yeah, back in the day we
had
answering machines.
But you know what I mean? They had one of those that you could hit record.
Yes, it had a tape in it. I know what you're trying to say. Yes, we used to have one of those old school ones with a tape where you had to flip it over and have your messages record on the other side. Okay.
Some people might not know.
Oh, I know. Your younger generation has no idea.
I know. I remember. We had one growing up, but not.
We didn't have one that
not
was
quite like that, but
you know
what I meant.
Cassette tape, but we did have one, yes.
So, some background info on him. Gary Sudbrink, he was an Air Force captain, and he was stationed in San Antonio, Texas. He went for a surprise trip to Long Island, New York. Not a lot of people knew about this other than his family he was visiting. It was a very sporadic trip. So he goes and he's visiting with his parents when he receives a call from his friend Mike. While on the phone with Mike tells him that he had just heard from him recently. He just got a call from him. And that they had just spoken the day before, which he did not remember speaking to him. And that is weird. So there's already bizarre stuff happening. Mm-hmm. At the end of this call, he receives another call, incoming call. So, and then he answers it, and that's where we're going to listen to the first call. Because just listening to it is different than me explaining it, because it's not. All right, and here's the first call.
Yes. I'll tell you who it is. Hello? Yeah. Do you want to speak to him?
Gary Sudbrink there.
Yeah, who's this? Steven? You playing games with me or what? Huh? Steven, if you're playing games, I'm going to kick your ass.
So how long are you going to be back from Texas?
Huh?
You're being impersonated by the other voice.
Yeah, this is you, Steven, you idiot. You pissed me off. Jerk. I'm going to get you on... Let's see what it says. Review. 1 new call out of area. Is Steven out of the area?
How long are you going to be back from Texas?
Wait, say that again?
You're being impersonated by the other voice.
Wait, hold on. Is Steven out of the calling area or what? What do you mean you don't know? He's in Queens. I don't know who the fuck.
Hello?
Is Gary Sudbrink there?
Who is this? Sounds like a freaking robot.
Hello?
How long are you going to be back from Texas?
What was that again, sir?
Being impersonated by the other voice.
Oh, be quiet, huh? Sorry, would you see that again? Hello? Being impersonated by what voice?
Hello?
Yeah. Hello?
Is Gary Sudbrink there?
Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, what is your question? I'll answer it.
So how long are you going to be back from Texas?
How long?
You're being impersonated by the other voice.
Right. When am I coming back? Is that your question? Okay, there was a break. Hold on. You want to know when I'm coming back to Texas? Oh, is that your question?
So how long are you going to be back from Texas?
How long am I going to be back from Texas? That question doesn't make any sense.
By the other voice.
Okay. I'll be coming back eventually. I can't tell you when. You should know that question, the answer to the questions, because you seem to know more about me than I do. You know what I'm saying?
Are you an intergalactic person?
Are you a space alien?
Sounds like he hung up.
I can't believe this.
He hung up, Gary.
See if he comes back.
All right, I'll hang up.
All right, that was the first call.
Well, that was weird and strange. So,
Isn't it weird?
So I'm curious, where was Gary at during that call then? He was not in Texas, right?
At his parents.
Okay, which...
No, he was at his parents in New Jersey.
Because that's why he talked about the other guy
That's
being
who the
in
other
Queens,
people...
right?
That was his... So, okay, yeah, we're going to talk about that. So, Steven is his brother.
Oh, okay, and
They were talking about how he thinks that the call is
brother
from his brother,
who lives
Steven,
in Queens.
initially.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yes. And, like, yes.
All right. Well, you should have set us up
So, like,
with
the only people who knew... I wanted you to go in blind.
Okay, that's fine.
Before,
All right. Okay.
But, like, you kind of got it. So, So he was on the line with Mike, and then he answered the other phone.
Right. I picked that up, yeah.
And that's why he was going to call back Mike, because he was trying to figure out what the heck was going on.
That was weird, though. Like, the way that person was talking was
the way
not
the
normal.
voice call?
Yeah, that was not normal.
Isn't it creepy?
Yeah, that's weird.
I thought it was like, it's weird. It's one thing to describe it, but hearing it is just strange. And he kept, like, repeating the same
over
thing,
and over
like,
and over, yeah.
over and over
Yeah.
again.
And his sentence didn't
And it,
make
like,
any
didn't-
sense. Like, when he asked,
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Sounds weird.
When are you coming back, or when are you going to be back from Texas or something?
It was weird.
Or
Yeah.
Weird.
All right.
So
that was number one.
We're going to talk about Steven really quick. Yeah, that was the first
right.
one. So there's been hold on, let me find it in my notes. So he thought his brother Steven was pranking him. A few years before this whole call thing happened, there was an instance where Steven swore that he saw Gary in a car next to him waving at him. But there was no way that he could have been. He was in town, but he did not have access to the car he was in, because the car he was in was the one that was back at his home in San Antonio.
Okay.
So there have been other reports of, like, there being another Gary.
Well, what about the
essentially.
claim that the person makes on the phone about they're using your voice or somebody's...
That's why it's weird,
Okay.
because, like, right before, the context of the call before with Mike, who said that he had just talked to him on the phone the day prior.
Right.
When he had not called
Okay.
him. So is there a doppelganger? We don't know.
Weird.
There's a lot that could... It's a really crazy story. So I thought it would be good for the podcast. Alright. So, the next call came a few minutes after this first call. We're going to play that one now.
What is your question? Yes, speaking. Yes. Can I answer any questions for you?
Are you back from Texas?
Not back yet, no.
How long?
Let me answer. First, you tell me, where are you calling from?
Gary Sudbrink.
Yeah, why don't you tell me where you're calling from?
Who is this?
What do you mean, who is this? You should know who it is. It's me, Gary. Wait, let me ask you this question. Where are you calling from? Okay, I'll be back. Excuse me? I can't hear too well. Yeah, there's a full moon out. That's true. Could you identify yourself? Identify yourself. Why are you calling me? Excuse me? I cannot hear too well. Hold on, let me switch phones. Okay. Okay, hold on. Now, who are you? Keep an eye in the sky, he said. Yeah. Shh. Okay, hold on. Say that. Repeat that again. Please repeat. Okay. Near Orion.
Oh, tonight or just when?
The full moon.
So, double from you.
Repeat. Okay, repeat last word. I'm hearing static. He hung up. Hello?
Okay, that was the second call.
Okay, that one was really hard to understand most of it.
Yeah, it was hard.
He was talking very low, and he'd have these very, very long dramatic pauses. The
I know.
caller
It's
is
strange.
weird. Yeah.
So
And
he
talking
kept
about the
saying,
full
"Keep an
moon
eye
and
on the skies."
Sky, yeah.
and then
I
he
heard
said
that.
near Orion, which is like,
Mhm.
isn't that a?
It's a star constellation.
Yeah, star constellation. And then the voice says the full moon, and he repeats that a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also
Strange.
says, "Oh, there's something else." Oh, he said, "Show double of you."
What? So double of you?
Show double of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But that was a weird call too. And he
Mhm.
was saying stuff that was different than the first call, so that was why it was kind of bizarre.
Right.
And then there was a point where the dad was like, "Oh, we've seen." So the dad has had a UFO experience before.
Yeah, I heard the dad in the background saying something about, "Oh, we saw a UFO or something in the sky."
Yeah.
I did hear that in the background.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the third call now. This was about 30 minutes after the first two
Okay.
calls. So this was like a little bit more delayed than the other ones. Here we go.
Okay. Yeah, it's taking time from the talk. Who is this? Stephen, this is not funny, you know.
Brian, it's not Stephen.
What do you mean, Brian?
I mean, Gary.
How do I know it's not Stephen?
It's not Stephen. Hello? I had a UFO experience in West Virginia, which you probably know. And I know that you're into an intergalactic person. Can you speak a little louder? Sir? Can you speak a little louder? Louder?
Let me speak to him, Dad. I guess I don't know what.
All right, I'll hang up so you can talk to me. He wants to talk to you.
Okay. Hello, can I help you? Yes. Yes, that's me. Yes, could you please identify yourself? Identify. Yeah, I'm back. I'm in Texas right now. Oh, he asked me a question. No, I'm in New York right now. You know that. Why are you asking me such a question? Yes. Stephen, if this is you, I swear to God, I'm going to be pissed. Huh? I'm trying to listen to him. Excuse me? Okay. Eventually, I'll be back from Texas. Could you speak more? Please speak more. I guess it's not Stephen. I believe it because I'm getting sack. Let me go on his phone because I can never hear on his phone. Hold on. Okay. Okay, please speak. Hello? Okay. Should I go out right now? Right now? Okay, see, I'm not sure where Orion is now, but we'll go outside. It would show double for me. Repeat that again?
That was the end of the third one.
That one was weird too. What's up with the weird, like, it doesn't sound like static, but it sounds like something else in that phone call.
Yeah, like the shuffle.
Yeah,
like sometimes you can tell when it's his parents in the background, but then there's others that are like, why is there so much like weird feedback?
Yeah, and what's up with the dad like screaming, "Are you an extraterrestrial or a
terrestrial?"
Yeah,
I
like
know,
how
like,
does
why?
I mean like how does what makes him think that? Why do we jump to that conclusion automatically?
And then he's talking about how he had a sighting in West Virginia.
Yeah, I know. It's really bizarre. I'm so confused. Like, why does a dad just automatically jump to, oh, it's an alien you're talking to?
I mean, yeah, it is a little strange. That's the dad seems to like team alien, but but he seems like he still thinks it's his brother.
Yeah,
I feel like.
I definitely think so.
Did you still hear him be like, Steven, if this is
Right.
you? All right, now we're going to talk about the final call, which was a day after, and the mom wasn't there, but the uncle and the dad were there.
Oh boy, of course dad was there.
Yeah, dad. All right, this is the fourth call. Fourth and final.
Yes, this is me. Can I speak? Can I ask why you're... Yes, can I ask why you're calling? Can I please ask? Yes, this is. Yes, that is me. Say that again? Leave? I'm staying right here. Is this a joke or what? I had to think about that. I'd like to see you.
Hey, let me tell you something. I've been listening to you. And I've had contacts with you.
Of interference? You have? Please explain what type of interference. Okay.
Paranormal rise from dark side of the moon.
Okay. What branch of the government? What should I do? Okay. Is that good for me or bad? They hung up.
Yes.
And that was the final call.
What's up with the weird humming or almost like
Right? The whirling sound?
it sounds like humming,
I don't
like
know.
he's singing a song or humming a song. And then he sounds different this time. It almost sounds mechanical in the beginning. Where he keeps repeating
Yeah.
his name.
the Gary
Yeah.
Sudbrink
Yeah.
part. It's so monotone also.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
eerie. There was the government interference
Yeah,
part.
that's weird. Interfering with the visitations. I'm like, it's probably a good thing if they're
What?
interfering with the visitation.
Interfering with the visitation. And then the uncle was talking about how I've had contacts with you. or
Yeah, I'm
something
like,
weird.
what is going on with this
I'm
family?
like, what the heck?
What is up?
I don't know, but there's just like a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Yeah, this it's strange.
And then it's right. You see why I was like, this is
Mhm.
very bizarre. Like,
you
don't
said
know.
he works,
or that we have this on.
you
like,
said Gary.
yeah, he works in
for
the
Air
government.
Force, correct? You said. Okay, so did he
works,
fly?
Yeah, as an Air Force captain. No, I think he was working like medicine.
Oh, okay.
That's what
okay.
I saw. Like he was not related to that.
Yeah, because
portion.
I didn't know if like he saw something and that's why they're contacting him now or what. You know what I mean?
No, it was just really
Hmm.
weird. Like the whole
Yeah.
situation. A lot of people think that it was like a Men in Black because it's kind of similar to how Men in Black are described. Because they'll do like calls. They'll call your house sometimes.
What? Really? But how would you know?
Cause like who was it? We've talked about him before. The Mothman guy. The Mothman.
Oh,
prophes-
yeah,
not-
yeah,
not the
yeah, yeah,
prophecy.
yeah. That's right. I don't know.
John Keel.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Something?
yeah, yeah.
Something
It's him, the
Keel?
writer. You're right, yeah.
Yeah, the writer who wrote the.
I remember
Mothman
that,
book.
yeah.
We've talked about him before, and because he's had run-ins with Men in Black, and they would call his house sometimes and leave really strange, bizarre voicemails. And I mean, this was like years after that.
Yeah, we're
whole
talking what?
Mothman
Did
prophecy
you say
thing.
1998?
93?
93, okay.
So,
All right.
and like the whole Mothman, I think was like what, 60s or 70s?
Was it 80s?
I don't remember off the top.
Well, the movie came out in the 80s. I don't know. It's probably
I know, but
earlier than that.
Mothman,
Weird.
like it was. It's 1966.
So did anything ever come of these calls? Like, did he ever get visited by anybody?
No.
Did he see anything in the sky that they were talking about with the...
I don't know if he just like went, like he just,
Has anybody ever interviewed this Gary dude since then? Do we know? Is he still alive? Has he been
I think
abducted? I
there
mean,
was. I don't know. I think he's out there.
I don't know. I'm worried about the guy now. Jeez.
I don't know if he's been replaced with like.
Yeah, is there a fake Gary running around now?
Remember, because there was a few sightings of people like hearing from him, even though he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then the audio was talking about how there was a double of him.
I heard that.
So it's like, there's just so much going on in this. There's like alien encounters.
Yeah, doppelgangers.
There's Men in Black.
Yeah, you got all kinds of stuff going
Doppelgangers. It was a crazy story, and I'd never heard of this before. It's like a mystery because we still don't know.
Was
like,
it
where
you
the
that
calls
did the
came
one
from
about
or
the
anything
bus
today.
and when they were on the bus? It was kind of like a Men in Black thing, but it wasn't. And the lady, remember, she was on the bus with her daughter. She doesn't remember. Like there was like a time thing that happened. Remember? And
I kind of remember something about a bus and
the time thing. And I'm trying to remember because this reminds me a little bit of that. But the guy, it was like a Black Eyed People. That's what it was. The Black Eyed People.
Oh yeah, the Black Eyed People.
Because it happened like
Black-eyed
in New
Kids.
Orleans or wherever. The one that the story I'm talking about. We did the Black Eyed Kids too, but this was like an adult because remember he like started looking really weird, and when she was on the bus with him and she would look at him, like time would stand still in like a
Oh yeah, I
strange
remember that
way
now.
or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember what episode it was, but I do remember us talking.
Yeah,
about it.
I mean, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that with like, you know what I mean, in regards to like a different him showing up in, you know, different parts and waving to his brother and all that when he really wasn't there. That's strange and odd.
Yeah, like he was in the area,
Right?
Because they were both in town for a wedding.
Right, but he was not like that.
He didn't have his car. He didn't go, like drive in a car.
Yeah, that's weird.
When he was there, like he rode in a car, but the guy, like his brother, claimed he saw him in the driver's seat, waving and making faces at him.
That's strange.
And this was like a few years before the phone calls.
Oh, okay. So somebody's been watching him
So
for
like,
a
have
while
they been
now.
watching
That's what
him
I'm
for a
saying.
while? That's what my thing.
Maybe they're watching the whole family because you heard about the uncle carrying on about how he's talked to them before, and then we heard about the dad saying, "Oh, well, you know, there was that thing in West Virginia, so maybe it's like a whole family thing. Maybe they have alien DNA and they're coming back to claim Gary."
Well, I mean, yeah, the dad and the uncle, I think, had like a UFO encounter.
Yeah, from the way they keep carrying on, you would think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bizarre. So that's it? We don't know anything else about this case other than that? Nobody's ever tried to reach out to Gary to find out what happened all these years later?
I think I saw when I was looking around, someone had an interview with him.
Okay.
I didn't. I'll have to look it up and
we'll have to talk about it next time because
we'll keep you guys in suspense. We don't know what happened to him.
Maybe we'll find out what happened to Gary. I mean, for all we know, he could be on a spaceship somewhere by now.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, clearly these like calls have been circulating on the internet, so it's like clearly these calls came from somewhere. Someone had to have shared them online or like digitized them. Yeah, because it probably in 1993.
No, it was not digital. At that point, that didn't all happen until 2000.
Yeah, so someone digitized this, and it's what's circling the online sphere.
Shoot, 93, we didn't even have cell phones yet. Or wait, could Grandpa have a cell phone? And that was the
maybe
year
like the
before.
dinosaur phones.
Yeah, like that really old chunky one. I think Grandpa had one in his car because he was like the manager for all the electric company, and they could call him. But it was weird. He never used it because it cost so much back then to use a phone like that. I mean, nowadays it's like nothing, but back then it was a lot of money. But the company paid for it, so he wasn't allowed to be like making silly calls.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're back in the day where you had to pay for all your minutes.
Oh yeah,
and the minutes were like free after a certain time of day.
Yep. Good old Dark Ages,
now it's just normal.
Yeah,
literally the Dark Ages.
Apparently, I grew up in the Dark Ages. People, I'm sorry.
Yeah, apparently.
You know, back when VHSs and CDs and tapes and all that good records, man. I was still playing records when I was a little bit younger. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. When I was 12 and 13, I played records. We didn't switch over into tapes until, I want to say like 88, maybe. 87, 88 was when tapes became really popular. And then when I was in high school, CDs became popular. And then you had VCRs and a Beta, but the Beta, like those two were the big main ones. Beta lost the war, and VHS was a standard at the time then after that. So yeah, I've seen a lot of progress in my time. That's all I'm going to say. A lot of progress.
All right. We'll put you in a nursing home.
That's right. Roll me there. Roll me in my wheelchair there.
Whatever.
Anyway. So, I don't know what to think of any of that one. That one's kind of...
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It's just very...
It is.
Strange.
We'll have to get back with you. I'll let you know if we find out anything more about what happened to Gary and, you know.
Yeah. Or if you've heard about this story.
Yeah. Or if, you know, something more has come about the story since then. We don't know. I guess we'll have to keep our eyes peeled and let you know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I have today.
That's all I have as well.
All right. Well, it's that time where we got to say goodbye to our viewers, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Well, if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.